welcome back, Jake.
Welcome back, Chantel. Where are we welcoming ourselves back from?
According to everybody, or at least the internet, the most magical place in the world.
My mom's basement?
That's creepy. Plus, I don't even think I had it right.
No. Where'd we go? It was warm.
It was really hot.
Yeah.
And smoggy.
Mm-hmm.
And there were palm trees.
Lots of palm trees.
And
ocean.
A lot of kids.
Mm-hmm. It's Disneyland.
Disneyland.
And California Adventure Park.
And California.
In Anaheim, California.
Yeah.
How long were we there for?
7 days.
Wow. That did not feel like it.
It felt like it. It felt long. Yes. Okay. Yes, you're right. It felt really long.
Yeah. It felt like a long time.
So, why did we go there? We went there for Disneyland, right? California.
Yeah. But I mean, beyond that, we were dying to travel.
Yeah, and I think that's why we were very, very excited to go on this trip. Mm-hmm. My family has been to Disneyland a lot.
And I have been there one time when I was about 7 months old. So I've pretty much never been.
Yeah. So the last time I went was 2018. So that's about 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's changed a lot in those 4 years. And for you wouldn't even know the difference of what it was before.
Yep. No idea.
So.
But people always talked about it. And I'd been to Disney World over in Florida when I was, what was I, probably 12 or 13?
Okay.
So I'd had some of the experience, but I remember I really enjoyed Universal and all the things that weren't Disney World.
Yeah. Well, also the thing with Disneyland now is that even from 2013, Disney World, there's so much has changed. Especially since Disney bought.
Well, this was like 2004 Disney World because I was 13 or 14. So
exactly.
Yeah, longer. Further back.
Oh yeah, sorry, not 2000. So when you were 13. So even more. Yeah. Because Disney World has what, like Avatar Land and other things. Know anymore. But anyways, Disneyland though, since it bought Star Wars, and did it always have Marvel, or did they buy Marvel as well?
They bought Marvel, but I couldn't tell you when.
Okay, so between those two storylines.
Mm-hmm.
They're so popular now.
Yeah.
So they started.
Well, I think the idea of classic Disneyland has changed, right? Because they've added so much with those.
So you know what they should have done was just like take out half of a block or something to make that land instead of stealing from classic Disney. Or what's it going to be called now? Canceled and most popular bought Disney land.
Well, let's start with, what was it that you loved about Disneyland? Because I feel like you were in the driver's seat for a lot of this trip. Because I had never been, and you had been. And so you had all these ideas, and you were kind of planning a lot of the where to go and what to do. So, yeah, what was it, I guess, about the...
What drove me, I guess, for this trip, if we'll start there, was hadn't been in a while, and... my brother and his family were just there and making it look all fun again. And, just needing to go somewhere and just feeling like going to Disneyland would be really fun with you specifically. And then I love Disney. So I had the itch and the urge, and I'm like, okay, let's go there. Not the wisest place to choose with the money that we spent. We could have gone, oh my God, anywhere. But anyways.
That's true of any trip.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, and what I love about Disneyland the most was meeting the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like pretending that they are real.
Yeah.
Because I love Disney. I love Disney movies. I love Disney songs.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really liked a lot of Disney stuff. I haven't been. I was collecting the VHS movies, and I did have a lot of Disney stuff at one point, but that's not what made me love it.
Yeah.
And so going to Disneyland, I wanted to see the characters, and I thought it would be cute that we were taking pictures together with the characters
And our
and,
ears on.
and our ears, yeah,
Yeah.
matching ears.
Yeah.
Um, and then going on some of the rides, and I like in Disneyland specifically, there's like one or two thrill rides really. So,
I
but
can
I
attest
like
to that.
I like
One or
the
two thrill rides.
Fantasyland story
Mm-hmm.
rides as well. So I was looking forward to. I guess I just like the stories.
Yeah.
So I really just like to be immersed by that. And otherwise, California sounded like a good hot place to go.
Yeah. Warm.
So besides that,
We've been dealing with the 7 seasons of spring here.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to have some consistent warmth.
Yeah. And you were on board, I think mostly because you just wanted to go somewhere.
Yeah. Well, it timed out nicely because, like, Zach, our musician friend from Vancouver, and Andy, who I recorded with, he was performing a show down there. He's doing his first West Coast tour. And so since we had some flexibility, I thought, well, that'd be fun. Like, let's go to Disneyland, have some time there, and then we can go catch Zach's show in LA. My friends Fraser and Marissa live there, and I've been telling them I'd need to come down so I could see them for a little bit.
When we were
invite them to the
planning
show.
it,
Yeah.
those things came up. So we were planning around being able to make it to Zach's concert, and then it worked out that we could see some friends while we were there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's my favorite thing about travel and trips is trying to sort of pack in a lot of things in that regard. I don't feel like any particular day we did was busy, but if you sort of looked at the trip as a whole,
the last few
there was
days
a lot of things.
Were busy.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess more social, but
yeah. So when we were we planned the trip in a month or something.
Yeah, it was kind of sporadic, wasn't it?
Yes.
Well, I remember because we were browsing around, we found deals on WestJet, and we just thought, should we go June or September? That sort of seemed to be the time frames, right? And then things were lining up in June, so we just said, fuck it, let's go in June.
Yeah. So how did you feel when we finally got to the airport, parked the car, and we're on the plane?
It was it was like old times.
Going around.
I don't know, I was in such a traveling routine before, and I had that brief trip here, right after we moved to Alberta. I had to fly back to BC and drive down to Washington to do a job, but I hadn't really flown or traveled anywhere. Did a road trip out to my parents one time, and then other than that, pretty much was in Langley for like 2.5 solid years. So it felt really nice to get back into that and to feel the excitement of we're going somewhere. It's somewhere different. I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I love that build up when we're going places. And then the two of us flying through security, that's always a point of pride for me. Like, having stuff ready, getting my shoes off, like knowing what's happening, keeping the line moving.
But they still had to go through your bag. And we took carry-ons only.
Uh-huh.
And what was in your bag that they had to see?
I think it was my camera. It's always a weird line. Like, sometimes you have to take it out, sometimes you don't. I don't know. So whatever. I left it in. They got upset. But again, that wasn't a big deal.
It was quick.
They didn't really care.
Yeah.
They opened it up and they said, oh, it's a camera. And off we went.
So that was easy.
But it was exciting. And I remember too, I always love the views when we're taking off and when we're landing. When you're like that, maybe 1 to 2 kilometers off the ground. So you're close enough that you can see a lot of detail in the ground, but you're high enough where you feel really far away from the ground as well. And I remember being completely mesmerized by a lot of the landscape and the topography below us as we were coming into the airport. We landed in John Wayne Airport, which is Santa Ana
Orange
or
County.
Anaheim, Orange County. Yeah, it's outside of Los Angeles by a bit. So you kind of come in over a lot of desert and mountain range. And it was so cool looking. And there was these big reservoir lakes up top and stuff. And then, you'd move along from that where there'd be these trails that go through the hillsides and these big, green forest hills with that sort of red desert earth coming through. And then it would go out into just nothing, like open landscape. And you'd see one or two like homesteads, I would call them, because there's like nothing around. You got to be really self-sufficient there, or willing to drive hours at a time and great at planning your food and meals, because you're really out there. And it was so cool. I remember seeing those, and then like LA and Orange County and a lot of civilization way off in the distance. And it seems so close in a way when you're thousands of meters up from it. But then we get on the ground and we start trying to move around, and you realize how far apart things are. So I think that was a little disappointing to me, how far everything actually was.
Yeah.
Once we got there.
Mm-hmm.
But anyhows, once we got there, what did we do?
Yeah, we took an Uber because it seemed like the best.
It was kind of the only. I think we could have figured out transit, but every time I looked at transit, it was going to be hours.
Yeah.
As opposed to
it was a
20 to 30 minute Uber.
No, it was an 18 to 20 minute Uber. It's not even a 30-minute Uber.
And I feel like when we went in with the traffic, because it was pretty
I don't think it was a 30-minute though.
Well, okay.
I don't think so.
20 to 30.
It was not. It was not that long.
Felt like it.
And we stayed at the Sonesta Anaheim Hotel, which felt like the furthest hotel away, but it was still only a 30-minute walk.
Mm-hmm.
But
and we did that walk quite a bit.
We did.
We had bus passes, but we are also quite willing to walk, and it wasn't too
but I was also
terrible.
trying to take the bus as much as possible.
Yeah.
Because we bought for the tickets. Because it's a 5-minute drive. But
would not recommend parking at Disney.
No,
No,
I wouldn't even.
Don't get a car and drive
how.
there. Just walk or take the bus. Definitely seemed the easiest.
Yeah, but so our first day there, we took the Uber to our hotel, and then we dumped our stuff and got hungry. Went searching for food.
Yeah, and there wasn't much around.
This was a Saturday, and we weren't going to Disneyland that day because it was in the evening by this time.
And we got, 5-day passes.
Park hopper passes, which means we can go from Disneyland to California Adventure after a certain time in the day.
And the parks are literally right across from each other.
Yeah.
Like, you enter on one side on the, north side of the street. South side of the street is the other park. But right now, at least during these few post-COVID years, you have to reserve your dates in each park. So we had to pick where we wanted to start. And then after 1 p.m., you could move over to the other park if you wanted to switch parks.
Yeah.
So we kind of did it every other schedule, just for the sake of...
Every other day, yeah, for sure.
Whatever. It was
Begin on
first
Disneyland,
Disney.
end on Disneyland.
Yeah, exactly.
But that first day, we dropped our stuff off, went and got some food. Chicken and waffles.
Roscoe's. Had to stop by Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. I grew up in Virginia, where there was chicken and waffles aplenty, and fried chicken was just you'd have the best fried chicken anywhere, and I miss it.
I like crispy chicken anyway.
Their chicken was good, but I think the waffles were disappointing.
I had just a chicken burger, and it was a frozen chicken burger.
And
they didn't have pickles, which is always a bummer.
No
and
pickles.
I like spicy chicken, so I did put some
pepper
sauce on it. Yeah, they had really good pepper hot sauce or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, and then we had some beer and went to bed so that we can get up early to be at the park because it opened at 8.
Yep.
And we got there for 8:45. So we did pretty good, for the first day. I had a hard time sleeping that night too. Yeah. But we also went to Starbucks for coffee in the morning and had to wait in a long
Yeah.
line for my coffee because you only get
Chantel made the mistake of ordering something that's not drip coffee, which always takes a
where we're at
long time.
Starbucks. I
Yeah.
only like one thing from Starbucks.
Yep. But anyhows, yeah, that was a busy time. Don't go to Starbucks early in the morning in Anaheim or any big city. Let's be honest. Don't
Well,
go
the
there.
coffee shop in Disneyland is Starbucks.
Yeah. And it's also just as busy.
But we were all amped,
Mm-hmm.
and we walked to the park that day with our ears that we bought outside of the park because we're cheap, but they're also better. I don't like the fluffy stuff, the puffy signature
Mm-hmm.
ears. I like just plain ears.
Yep.
Anyways, oh yeah, that's what we did. When we went to Roscoe's, we went and grabbed our ears.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry that we're bouncing. We didn't really plan on how we were gonna remember and talk about this.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyways, it was Sunday when we went into Disneyland. We had our ears. We were all gung-ho, and it was hot.
Yeah.
So I was like wearing a jumpsuit, very thin jumpsuit, and I was sweating, and I kept having to ask you, is my butt okay? Because I had under boob sweat. I was sweating, okay? It was hot. And I was scared that my butt would be sweaty. And I'd be walking around Disneyland where everybody is and people looking at my sweaty butt.
Mm-hmm. There were a lot of sweaty butts, though.
Jake
You were in
noticed.
good company.
Yeah. Anyways, but what did we do as soon as we got in there?
We went searching for some characters, and we found a few. What did we find? We found Pluto.
Oh, okay.
And
The way we were trying
Princess
to plan the
Tiana?
trip too was the first day in Disneyland we would just wing it,
mm-hmm.
right? Because you hadn't been there in a long time, and things had changed since I had been in 2018, and we just wanted to get lay of the land.
Yep.
And then we would do the same in on the second day at California Adventure Park, and then on the third day we would be going back to Disneyland. We'd be figuring out like what we really want to hit. Okay, so we'll rewind back. We started in Main Street.
Mm-hmm. We went into the Moments with Mr. Lincoln.
Yeah.
Because it was cool and air conditioned.
Yeah, thank God.
And
Got
they
to
had a
dry
bunch of
off.
that cool stuff. Like, they had that bench that Walt had sat at
When
that
he
was outside of the, it used to be outside of the, what was it? Griffith Park
Yeah,
merry-go-round, I think it was.
carousel.
Yeah, the
same
carousel
thing.
ride. Because that's where he was sitting when he was out with his daughters, and he came up with this idea of, wouldn't it be great if there was sort of a family fun theme park
Yeah.
where everybody could go with their whole family, and there'd be rides and entertainment.
Instead of him having to sit on, he was sitting on the bench watching them.
Yeah, sort of like something for all ages in a
Yeah.
way, right? In terms of a family. And so they have like the actual bench he was sitting on, which I think is really petty but cool.
And we're
at
not
the
allowed to
same
sit
time.
on it. It's
No,
roped
you can't sit on it. But there was also a lot of cool animation and like sculptures of characters in there too. It felt like a big history of early Disney. They had some early checks and deal memos from the first days of the Disney company, and
Really had just quite a bit of a lot of different things because that was at the end when we were in one of the stores with the art. But at the beginning, after the bench, we saw how one of the Disney artists creating the Haunted Mansion. So there were little sculptures and drawings, and we got a little insight on how that was conceived. And that was cool. And then there was a big map of the first Disneyland, right?
Yep.
Right? And you were standing. We got a pretty cool shot.
Yeah, you got a cool picture there.
Yeah, of you standing in front of that with your ears. It's so cute. And then there's some other drawings, again, from other artists of the new things around Disneyland.
Yeah. And they had that giant carving of the U.S. Capitol that was out.
That was
And I was enamored by that.
where the president's area was.
Yeah.
That we went in there for.
Because it was so detailed. And then we were reading the plaque, and it was from stone that was in Normandy. And I found great irony in that because my parents were just flying back from Normandy, France, as we were arriving in California. So it felt like this very serendipitous moment of oh my gosh, we're all like connected by these places.
Well, yeah, and we were in California at the same time
Yep.
for a couple
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah. They were in San Francisco for a while, and we were in Anaheim. Well,
That's cool. Anyways, so in that building, we went and watched a Lincoln.
it was like a film slash live show thing. Like, it started off with this movie that was a bit about
Lincoln's
the
life.
history of Lincoln. Yeah, Abraham Lincoln before he became president, and then when they catch you up to the point where he becomes the president, the curtains open up, and there's this really lifelike animatronic Lincoln that stands up out of a chair, and he reads his speech, and all this Americana shit happens in the background. But
It's pretty. It was
I felt
pretty.
it. Yeah, no, I found it really moving. I think it was cool the way he talked about the culture and the dream of. I think the dream of America.
Bringing Jake back to his American roots.
In a way, I mean, there's
Until we leave that building, and he's like,
well, there's a
"Fuck, I wanna
stark
live
difference
back-
between the
wanna be back
reality
in
of
Canada."
America and the dream of America.
Yeah.
And I think that one spoke to the dream of America, which is kind of this utopic, democracy of freedom, right? Where you can do as you please, and we love one another and support one another. And, it's a very idyllic, romantic dream, and very far from the reality, or at least the modern reality.
And we're not going
of
to
it,
get into
but-
that here
Totally.
because I can see you wanting to get into it.
No. I mean, there was a lot of. I think it's always weird for me going back to the States in that regard, but there was also a lot of like beautiful, awesome magic.
Proud moments.
Yeah.
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 Even I felt that a couple of times. I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm not even American.
Yeah. Well, that aside, I mean, even just being at Disneyland and seeing, like, just the fact that that place exists and that they can do what they are doing is in itself pretty awesome. Because I don't feel like you go to a lot of other countries and you see that level of spectacle and imagination, which I think is really cool that we've given birth to that kind of a place. The experience, I don't know. I think it's different depending on what you expect. And so that's the part where I'm like, I'm not going to get into that because we did have a lot
We're
of great
gonna get into
experiences.
We're going to be getting into that.
But I mean,
little
we
bit
had
of
a
that.
lot of great times too. And I
But we're
think I
gonna-
want to choose to focus on that aside from the things that I
Oh,
didn't
yes,
enjoy.
but we're going to break it down day
Okay.
by day. We're
So
gonna
day by day.
we're gonna shit and we're gonna lift.
Day one, I loved the canoes, the Davy
Hold
Crockett
on,
canoes.
hold on. Where were we? Yeah. So when we got into the park, after we did moments with Lincoln, we just wanted to wander, and we thought we would start to the left, where
Yep.
Adventureland is.
Yeah.
So we were able to actually hit the Tiki Room.
Yep. We hit that real early.
Yeah,
That
right
was
in
another
time.
one of my favorites.
Right in time. But
Yeah.
that one's always fun because it's immersive and the animatronic birds are so much fun, and
That's a really cool thing to
yeah,
experience.
the
I'm not gonna
drums and the
lie.
sounds and it's
A lot of the animatronics there really makes it like I know it's timed and rehearsed, but you appreciate the craftsmanship and the attention to detail that went into making that possible.
yeah.
Because somebody had to actually make something happen and they have to continue to maintain it.
Yeah.
Like year after year. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah. So we actually started the day off very well.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing the Lincoln and Tiki Room, and I forgot we did hit Pluto
Yep.
on the way through that.
This is the first character we found.
I know.
Well, that we got a photo with. I
Yeah.
think Minnie Mouse was out there, but we didn't get a photo.
Yeah,
Missed
because
her.
if nobody has realized this yet, like a lot of people, it seems, at Disneyland, when there is a Disney crew member standing at the end of the line for the line to meet a character, it means that that character is going to leave soon. So we caught on to that pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Because we didn't want to waste our time being like, is she gonna be here for long?
We still went and asked.
We did a couple because it was unclear.
Well, sometimes you don't know. Like maybe they just got there.
Or we want to know how long it would take.
Totally. It's worth playing the dumb card and going over and saying, but just I think assume if you see a cast member,
For the most
or
part,
not a cast member, but a crew member,
yeah,
standing there, they're probably done.
Well, I think they would call them cast members. Whatever.
Yep.
So the Tiki Room, and then what did we do next? Jungle Cruise. So the Jungle Cruise and Indiana Jones would have been the next rides in that area.
But we didn't do those that day.
No, because they were already longer lineups.
But we did go back and do them.
Yes, but we'll get there. So we skipped that, and the Tarzan's treehouse was being refurbished.
Tarzan?
Tarzan's treehouse.
Oh.
It was all blocked off.
I don't remember that. Pirates of the Caribbean was closed down for the Johnny
so
Depp
those
trial.
were both being refurbished. Wondering if Tarzan's treehouse must be something of a new movie related to something sort of that like that, because they've had that for a while.
But we made it into the Haunted Mansion.
But the Pirates of the Caribbean, so you have, before you get to Haunted Mansion, you got to pass the Pirates of the Caribbean, and that was being refurbished, probably for more politically correct bullshit. So
Who
that
knows?
was a bummer, but we knew that was going to be closed. Although that's one of the best rides anyways. But you might think it's boring.
I don't know. Never been on it.
So, and then we got on the Haunted Mansion, though, because it was only 20-minute wait.
Mm-hmm.
Which
That
was
one had a
pretty
lot
good.
of cool optical illusions.
Yeah. You liked it?
Yep.
Tell me.
It wasn't like... I think it was a cool ride, not from a scary movement standpoint, but as you go through it, like, they have ghosts that are dancing through a dining hall. And it's all done through... Yeah, it's all done through, like, a hologram kind of projections. So it was really cool because you see real time, like, with your own eyes, what looks like ghosts dancing
I have
through,
a
you know, like how they
question
look
for
in a
you.
movie in a way.
Were you dissecting any of that? I think a couple of things. You were dissecting on a props level.
Maybe, but I wasn't trying to, like, it wasn't distracting from my experience of it, though.
Okay, good.
It was like, oh wow, that's amazing that I can see that, how it is here. Like, I wasn't trying to think, how would I do that? Or how,
No,
you know,
not how would you
there
do
was
it,
times
but
when I would see something and say, oh, that's obviously this or that, you know, or I was constantly tapping on stuff wondering what's actual concrete and what's painted styrofoam. But, like, I think going through that part and just a lot of them in general, like, it was more animatronics and cool things that are really outside of my wheelhouse, so I could just sit back and appreciate it.
okay, that's good.
You know, there was a lot within that I found cool, and just I think it was just more noticing those details, right? Like throughout that ride in the Haunted Mansion as well, you know, they'd come across the musical scenes, or I think even on the aerial ride later, like if there was a saxophone piece and there's a saxophone like animatronic character out there, the speaker with the saxophone sound is coming from that character. You know, it wasn't like we're just pumping the random music throughout the whole room
Yeah.
and you're just hearing everything. It was like, no, as you come close to that character and move away, you're hearing the saxophone bits getting louder and becoming more prominent, and then you move away from it and the same thing. So I found that, like, that was the level of detail that I was noticing in a lot of those simple rides that I really appreciated. Because
Yeah,
I
well,
think
even
it
the
elevates
Haunted
it.
Mansion, too.
Yeah, it elevates it to an artist's level, right? Instead of just sort of a, you know, I don't know, like from a bullshit passive
People would
experience
say
to being
Mickey
something that's a little
Moused.
more interactive and
Yeah.
and intentional. Maybe that's the word, intentional. Like you hear every little layer that goes into this whole spectacle.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's easy to forget that these are big productions, even though they're simple stories. You know, and that's, I think that's something that they brought through to a lot of those smaller rides, and something that I noticed on this trip, because you brought me into those, where there are
Those are
probably
those
rides that
little
I would have.
fantasy rides that I love. That I was saying
Yeah,
I love.
they're the rides that I probably would have foregone. I would have been like, oh, it's not exciting. I'm not going to get thrown around anywhere, go upside down. Never mind. hmm So then from Haunted Mansion.
We hit Splash Mountain.
hmm
So So to
What a
rewind back
combo.
a little bit, hold on a sec. So, Disney now has the Disneyland app,
hmm
which is linked to your Disney account, and they have a map on there that gives you the times, like the wait times for rides, and if things are temporarily closed. Um, so I was relying on that a lot, and it said that Splash Mountain and the bobsleds were temporarily closed. So I was all pissed off because I haven't, I've been to Disneyland lots since 2004, and I have not been on Splash Mountain since, I swear, 2004.
Really? Wow.
Because, or maybe it was, pardon me, 2012, but I'm pretty sure 2004, because it was always closed.
hmm
And so I was really mad. I was like, no. So when we saw it, it was like a 20-minute wait. We're like, yeah, go down there.
Yep.
And we weren't actually sure. But we made it, and it was open, and it was awesome.
hmm
We were in the back.
Yep.
And if you've been on Splash Mountain before, it is a more thriller ride.
hmm
Because it's got like a 50-foot drop. Is that what it said?
It's, oh, yeah, something.
It's high.
50, 55?
50
Yeah.
foot. Yeah. That's where they take your photo. It was scary.
Well, and there's that other small drop
And
that's
wet.
in the complete dark
Yeah.
before you get to the big drop. So that even scared, like, that one caught me off guard.
Oh, for
I
sure.
remember feeling
I
a
wasn't
fun,
expecting
like,
anything.
lift in the stomach
I
as we went down that.
yeah.
And we were with this group of, was it like 4 other girls, and they were screeching on that. They were freaked out.
Yeah, so we got a bit wet on that one.
hmm
That was fun. Oh, yeah, that's when we went. And right after that ride, we saw Tigger and Eeyore.
hmm
Yeah,
Got our photos with them.
yeah.
Favorite characters in the 100 Acre Woods.
Yeah, Tigger's always been my favorite.
T.I. Double Gutter.
The one and only.
Yep.
And then after that, we came up and around and back that way because you got to backtrack. And I think we hopped on the canoes at that point.
hmm I think so.
And it was the very first time I ever even knew those were there. Because
Yeah.
every other time, we've never been on. So I texted my mom after. I'm like, Mom, did you know Davy Crockett's canoes are here? She's like, yes, I was just scared of them. So we never went there. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Because it was, it was fun because it made you work for it.
They were real
And
canoes.
it wasn't even that hard because there was a ton of us.
Yeah.
How many people do you think?
I think it's about 20.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So there's 20 of us rowing, and we'd all be like, sorry, because we're banging.
Yeah,
oars.
nobody knows how to synchronize.
Well, even then, we're pretty tight. So COVID doesn't exist in Disneyland.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But
No masks, no distance. It's normal times.
But
there.
it was a lot of fun, and you just go around the Tom Sawyer's Island, right behind the Columbia or the
Mark Twain
Mark
Riverboat.
Twain, riverboat.
Oh, we never went on that one.
No, we didn't. But I hadn't been
Bummer.
on the Columbia pirate ship before, so.
Well, we did that.
Yeah. So the canoes were really fun, though.
Yeah.
We went around.
really were.
And the crew members, cast members, they actually call them cast members, were really funny, and they let us rest.
Yep. There are lots of jokes.
Yep. And I think our boat actually was the fastest out of the 3 that were around there at the time. 3
For
or
sure.
4.
Totally not
How long
biased.
do you think it took us? 10 minutes?
Yeah, if even.
Yeah. They're like, it'll take up to an hour depending on how well you row.
Well, I think they said it's an hour if you don't paddle.
Yeah.
So like if you just
It's
sat
a
in the canoe
joke,
and you hoped
though.
the current would take you, it'd be
Yeah.
an hour, but it's really about 10 minutes. But I
Yeah,
remember
it
it
was
was
fun.
enough to scare the people behind us out of line.
Yeah, no, it
Remember
was
that?
really
They
fun.
got like, it's gonna take an
What are we
hour.
gonna
Oh
do?
my God, we're
Just
out of here.
wait. Oh my gosh. It's one of the slowest drives, so but it's cool. So if you have a chance and you go there, that's one that you should do. Don't be
Totally.
afraid of the fact that you have to put a little work into it.
Yeah, and it doesn't take that long, and it's really not that much work.
No.
Yeah.
Ooh, and then was it on our way back from that we saw Princess Tiana or
No, before that.
okay, well we saw
Mhm.
Princess Tiana in New Orleans
Mm-hmm.
Square.
No, we did. We were the last ones to get a photo with
Yeah.
her.
Which is good because
She had
we
to go check on her beignets.
yes. That's what they say. They're like, "Oh, this person has to go check on this thing."
Yep.
But
And it's
we
always story related.
oh,
It's
of
part of
course
their
it has to
universe.
be.
Yep.
And I was like, "Oh my god, how annoyed must these people be having to say the same thing over and over and over?" I could hear the one guy, everybody, after a few times of saying the same thing, they're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Tiana's gonna go check on her beignets. She'll be back in like 45 minutes over here."
Yep.
Just you could hear how tough it was to spit that out.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, I'm gonna be better. I know that when you're at the end of this line, I'm not gonna bother you.
Yeah. I wasn't thinking about that at all.
Anyhow, what did we do after that?
I don't remember. I don't
We
know.
spent
It all kind of blurs together in a way.
oh you
In
know
terms of parks and days. Like I don't have them separated.
we may have gone back for a break. Because we did break most of the days.
Mm-hmm.
Got back to the hotel,
Yep, we left for a bit.
relaxed, and then came back.
Or you get food outside of the park. Because I'm not going to lie, the food selection in the park is kind of
We did
meh.
eat a couple times in the park, and it was for pricey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
When
it's
you're
not
walking
that
around
great.
a lot, you get hungry.
Mm-hmm.
And we did bring snacks, but snacks doesn't fill your belly.
Mm-hmm. This is true. This is true.
Mm-hmm.
But then what were some highlights, I guess? Like, what were favorite things that we did in either park? So, like Disneyland. What were a couple highlights for you in the Disney park this time?
We met characters that I haven't met actually yet,
Mhm.
like Cruella de Vil.
Yep. Got
And
that right at the end. That
also
was a good one.
Bo Peep, but she was over at the
Oh,
California
yeah.
Adventure.
Mm-hmm.
I always love the characters. We also in California Adventure we did the draw a character animation or drawing
Yeah, we learned how to draw Tigger.
lesson. Yeah, that was fun. I've never done that before, so that was cool. I wish we had gone back and done that again, but we forfeited a day.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get to that later. And seeing how excited you were to be on things or experiencing, because I just imagined it being really, really fun going there with you anyway. So I was like, oh, how do you like it?
I'm a thrill seeker.
No. Well, now I know I'll never go to Disneyland with you again. I probably won't ever go to Disneyland again, but took you to the wrong park, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't just for you.
True.
Because you're really good. You're a really good sport when it comes to watching old cartoons, movies with me. So I was just hoping you would adopt my energy.
Mm-hmm. I like stories. And I like good, like immersive entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some things that were great about that too.
Yeah. So those are the things that I like the most.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
The things I like the most. I did like some of the exciting roller coasters, and even that simple one where we were on the little like Zeppelin things flying around.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like these things that got us up high and we could see the whole views around. And then I appreciated going around and being immersed in, I guess, the this complete level of detail.
The lands.
Yeah, in real life to what you see on a movie. You know, it reminded me a little bit of being on a movie set, but movie sets are usually so much more fake because you can see a lot of they're very much built like to shot. So if you don't see anything off this way, okay, everything to the right is fake, you know?
Yeah.
If you don't see stuff off to the left, it's all fake and bullshit. And especially now with computers where they do set extensions, they'll even shoot stuff that is fake. So being in Disneyland was really cool because there wasn't anything where you look off and you sort of see behind the scenes, so to say.
Besides
everything
the
was
back
very real.
Of in California Adventure Park, like the back of some of the rocks in Cars Land, where it's just that prop up.
Yeah, but that
wooden
was
back.
from like outside the park.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm
Yeah.
just laughing.
So when
I'm
you're
just
in the
laughing
park
at that.
though, like you didn't notice anything, you know, and that was really fun too to be able to walk. Like you walk into Radiator Springs.
Yeah.
Which I found really amazing and cool. I think a lot of that stuff was incredible.
Yeah.
It just felt a little sad when you looked over and you're like, oh, and that's a restaurant, and that's a gift shop, and that's another restaurant. And, you know, like they weren't exactly what they were, but the level of detail to the outside, to the set, so that when you walk into that environment, you very much feel like you're in the movie. And I found that incredible.
Vroom, vroom.
And I liked it too when we went over on the adventure side as well. We're in like the nature park area where they had the obstacle course thing and all the slides and the ropes courses and those things. Again, it's something completely normal, I guess, but you're in the middle of Disneyland where everything else it's Hollywood, it's Main Street, it's Cars Land, it's whatever. And then you kind of get to go out into the middle of the woods and goof around and be human and real again. It was fun. It was cool. You know, he gets to go on the little river rafting
Grizzly
ride
River
as well. Run. Yeah, the Grizzly River Run.
We went on that at night.
Mm-hmm. Or the evening.
Yeah, it was awesome though.
Mm-hmm.
Got wet.
Yep. As you will on the water rides. If it involves water, you're getting splashed.
Yeah.
That's a guarantee.
We were on with a family that had a couple of kids that hadn't been on before, and they were kind of scared, and we just made ourselves part of that family.
Yep. I think that was the nice part. Everywhere you went, everybody was when you were getting in the rides and going around for the most part, you know.
People like to comment on things to each other.
Yep. Exactly. You never felt like you couldn't turn to the person next to you and say something or ask a question.
Sometimes
or make a request.
You couldn't because they'd be like, and then look away.
Yeah.
Unless
but I mean,
it was...
thinking for a lot of our photos, right?
Well,
like anytime we turned and asked people if they could take photos of us with characters, because it was just the two of us. So sometimes we
only had to ask a couple of people we didn't know. Thankfully, there were cast members all over. But, yeah. We were lucky with a few people. But I think it was people closer to our age where it was easier, where we're all like, we can talk to each other. And then people maybe younger, whatever, just a little scared to
maybe
be involved. I don't know. I noticed it on a couple of different rides.
No.
Or being really just annoyed by those people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But speaking of annoyed, I was annoyed by the way we had to reserve everything through an app.
So if anybody remembers, at least I don't know when they got rid of this, but in 2018 was the last time I went, and there was still Fast Pass, where you go up to these little kiosks and you get a paper pass to Fast Pass a ride, and you come back to that ride in, I think it was an hour to 2 hours. It wasn't a very long time. You come back, you use that to speed past the standby line and get on the ride quicker. That was great, and you didn't have to pay for it. But now they have this thing called Genie Plus, which you need to download on your app or buy off your app. It's $20, $20 per person
Per day.
per day. And so we decided one day we would buy it just so we can get on some rides. And this was the third day, I think. And when we did that, like we did a good job at hitting quite a few rides.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we were finally like, let's get this for rides that we can't get on or are harder to get on, we were looking at hours later.
Mm-hmm.
So it's called Lightning Lane. And when you reserve a ride, they have windows. So most of them were like 3 to 4 hours later in the day. The ones that we wanted to hit, because we already hit the other ones. We didn't want to go to like this one and then the next one, because when you reserve the Lightning Lane for one ride, you cannot reserve another Lightning Lane until you redeem that one, which means you have to be in line, redeem it, and be in line. And then by that time, the reservation for that Lightning Lane ride is hours later, and you're waiting for fucking ever.
Yep.
So it didn't really make a lot of sense to me. Mm-hmm. We literally got on 2 rides that day. 2 rides with the Lightning Lane pass.
Yep.
And that was Indiana Jones at what, like 2:20 or something stupid, or 1:20 p.m. when we booked it at like 10.
Yeah.
And then the Guardians of the Galaxy Tower escape thing, and that was
like 7 almost.
It was late.
Yeah. Well, there's a third one though, because remember we went to the Big Thunder Mountain roller coaster.
Well, yeah, that was a free.
But it broke down as we were standing in the line, so they offered free Lightning Pass.
Yeah.
And that's why we bought it that day, because we figured, oh, we got one for free.
Must be worth it.
Let's grab the others and see if it's see how it works for the day, because we never tried it, so we also wanted to test it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was not worth it.
But it was disappointing.
It was so stupid.
Mm-hmm.
It was really lame. I'm glad we got on the rides we did.
Maybe it would have been different though if we had bought it at the beginning of a day.
Maybe. Well, yeah, probably.
And then we could have booked an early ride. And then, that's redeemed early before everyone else is in the park. So then you could maybe get another or another. But also, when you're early, you don't really need the Lightning Lane, because
we were trying to avoid having to pay for that and get on as much as we could.
Because at $40 a day, on top of the $880 that we paid for a 5-day pass, you're like, oh my God. Yeah. It adds up so fast.
Oh, it was cray.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah. We're gonna have to just end it here for now.
Okay.
We can come back to this.
And then we'll come back. All right. We'll bring you more from Southern California on another pair of Mix episode.